The goal is to assemble the gauntlet in a way that's as close as possible to how real armor would be assembled. So I'll be using real steel rivets and strips of leather to attach these pieces in a way that they can still articulate. This isn't the easiest way to do it, but I think it's the coolest way. If you don't use the washer, then you definitely risk having these pop out because this is a flexible filament. This is just a block of steel I got on Amazon. I watched lots of tutorials actually doing it. It's a little bit different. I'm getting the feel for it now, and the main thing is just to not be too aggressive with it at first because then the nail bends. Some of them start to get this little burr here at the edge, probably because I didn't take off quite enough material when I was cleaning it up after cutting it. So I just have this really small file, and whenever I see that happen, I just kind of take off any sharp edges. I actually just made that too tight, so I'm gonna have to start over with that rivet. This is what you want, is for it to be able to slide. Can't slide this. There's a lot of things in life where you don't get a redo, but riveting isn't one of them. I'm using the pliers to take it off because it's boiling hot. I'm actually surprised it didn't melt the filament a little bit. What did I forget? Time to remove another rivet. Woo! All fixed. Got a thumb hinge now on both sides. I've cut my leather strips based on the size of the plates here. You can see it's about the width of the bottom. I already have one here that I've punched the holes in, so I measured those by spacing out my plates and just seeing what was a good spacing for them. And then I can use this as a guide for the rest of my strips. I'm running out of washers, but I have some more of the small ones coming in today. And with the finger plates, you do want it to be more tight because you don't want them to twist around versus the articulated plates on the hand. And I'm going to repeat that process for the lower finger and then however many plates are required for that finger. It's going to be a total of 5, but I'm not going to rivet on the 5th one yet because this gets riveted on straight through into the knuckle plate. We're going to go ahead and put on the washer. I'm going to keep track of which finger length goes where. Oh, there we go. And if you wanted to make it self-defense weapon, well, you've got one right there if you just leave these untrimmed, but we're not going to do that because that's not really con safe. This is not going to have a washer on top. It's just going to get hammered straight down. I don't want it to go flying. Get rid of that extra. Yay, washers! And then I also just got a bunch more elastic. I wish I'd bought some larger washers though. Now I still gotta go to the store. Working on riveting these leather straps to the back of the upper arm pieces, and I ran into a little bit of a problem, so I kind of came up with this little poor man's vice here. I've got a couple cement blocks, some paper towel just to pad it so it doesn't scrape up the piece, and then I put my steel block vertically between those two, and that's actually working really, really well. So now I can set this directly on here, and I'm able to pound in my rivets no problem. The holes here only go partly through. I'm gonna go ahead and drill the rest of these out. I've folded the leather a couple of times to make it a little more sturdy, less stretchy, and also that's how it looked in the movie. I'm just going to run that through here. It's so much easier with the block in this position rather than lying flat. I've just attached the hand to the upper arm portion on this one. It was a little bit challenging. All right, not too tight, still moves. I'm going to try to show you the hinge now. It's difficult to get them aligned and try to get it on camera, so you might not be able to see a whole lot other than my hands trying to hold stuff while I mark where the hinge needs to go. Well, that was almost a big oops. I was marking that on the wrong side. The hinge needs to go on the side with the spike. The buckle is going to go on the inside where you can more easily access it. I'm adding on the buckle now. I've already drilled the hole for this one, but I need to cut the leather for the other piece. I thought that I could tighten the rivet enough to stop it from moving, but it started biting into the leather a little bit, so I had to stop tightening that rivet. I think I have space for one more rivet here without being too close to the edge if we just put it right about there, and that'll stop it from twisting. This is rivet number 3 because I keep bending them because I'm trying to find a good position to be able to hammer this properly. I've scooted this out now away from the blocks. I'm hoping that's going to do the trick. Moment of truth. Yeah, it's flat on the block now. I just gotta be careful because this isn't very stable. Yay! Now I know how to do it. I won't have to spend 3 tries on the next one. Alright, friends and neighbors, would you just gather on in to witness this first ever buckling of the fully attached buckle. We just gotta put this strap in on here, and you were there to experience it with me. So I added the second rivet to this side also so that there wouldn't be any of that twisting that I was getting over here, and I think it actually looks better with 2. It's kind of more substantial and almost like a decorative feature, not just practical. You can do it one-handed even. These plates are going to overextend at this point. It's not any kind of like permanent damage. I've already kind of made an improvement. I can bend this and they never pop out of alignment. Flex the plate to the fullest extent that I want it to go, and then pop down my attachment. Now I'm going to glue on the last one because we definitely want to stop the wrist from doing that. We don't want that big gap. Last step was to stitch these leather bits to this webbing bit. These little finger strips together. Everything sort of combined into one internal network of connectors. I gained some amount of satisfaction just from having everything nice and neat. It's going to continue to function throughout the life of the prop. I'm working on sewing the gloves into the armor. I'm using a double layer of just regular sewing thread, and I'm able to that way just sew with a normal needle, not having to pre-punch the holes, but it's still very sturdy. So I've already had my thumb as a casualty, but actually it's a pretty good technique to just have a nice sturdy band-aid on there. It's a little easier to grip the needle and less likely to poke it back through your finger instead of in through the leather. I've got to stitch all along these edges, tuck this in here, stitch around every single finger. It takes a little while. Honestly, this is not the most fun part of the project, but it's just one of those you gotta just push through, get it done, then you can move on to something that's a little less tedious. Yeah.